Hi everyone, welcome back to another tutorial. So let's dive in, guys. I have my paper already on the table, and then I added left like 2 inches at the top as a margin, and then all I'll do is to ensure that I have enough, the paper is enough to cover half of the biggest part of the measurement, and then I'll divide the paper into two after that. This is me trying to rule out the margin. We need to leave like 3 inches at the top. I did left 2 inches at the top here, and then I've gone ahead to rule the middle of my paper, ensuring that each part of the paper is enough to cover for 1/4 of the biggest part of the measurement. Here, the biggest part of the measurement is the bust. So starting with the shoulder now, I've gone ahead to measure half of the shoulder measurement, from your shoulder to shoulder. Half of it here, mine is 7.5. And then I've gone ahead to mark it that way. Then I try to extend it a little bit down. And then going ahead to the neckline, if you have been following me, you know this is my way of doing it. I use 3 by 3 as a standard before we alter it into the kind of neckline we want. Then for the shoulder slant for the front, I love to use 1.5. Yes. And for the back, it's going to be 1. So this is me measuring my 1.5 for the shoulder slant for the front. And then connecting that to the neckline, which is the point of 3 by 3. And then I went ahead to rule or construct or connect the 3 by 3 for the width and the width and the depth of the neckline. So to get our chest line, I'll go ahead and follow the same method we normally use, which is bust divided by 6 plus 1.5. If you have your round armor measurements, you can just use half of it. Yes. And then getting the chest line, we've done that, which is half 6, and sorry, the bust divided by 6 plus 1.5. Then I went ahead to add that, which was 8.5 plus the 1.5 for the shoulder slant. Altogether, that gave me 10 inches, and that is the chest line coming down from the shoulder to that part is 10 inches altogether. Yeah, and then I don't want the length of the bolero to be more than 15 inches, which will be something around my under bust area. So that's what I've done. Now we need to input 1/4 of the bust measurements, which I have done on that part, and on the where the where the bolero is going to end, which is my underbust. I did made use of my waist measurement on that part. At first, this is what I did at first. I don't want to add any darts. I just wanted to make it a dartless. And I've gone ahead to measure 1/4 of the bust measurement, sorry, waist measurement on the waistline, and the 1/4 of the bust measurement on the bust line. So now moving to the back pattern. And then yes, so the chest line, the one we have for the front, the same 10 inches after adding the 8.5 inches I got from my bust divided by 6 plus 1.5, giving everything 10 inches. I extended that line to the back. The same chest line, that is it, you're seeing me drawing, it's the same thing for the back. Why the length for the back is 13 inches, because I want to take a bust dart on the front pattern. This is to make the length of the front and the back to be equal. Yeah. If I'm to use the same length for the front and back, definitely the back will look lower. It's going to go lower while the front will jump up. And that's what we normally see in most cases where we use same length. So I've gone ahead to construct the back neckline, which is I went down by 1 inch and using the same width as the front, which is 3 inches. And I'll go ahead and connect it that way. Then for the shoulder slants, that's what I want to do now. I'm going to take 1 inch for the shoulders. Okay, 1 inch for the shoulder slant, after which we go ahead and get the midpoint right from the chest line to the shoulder slant for the back. After locating the midpoint, you want to go in by 0.5, then connect a line from the shoulder slant to that part where we went in by 0.5. And then before then I went ahead to mark 0.5 at the center back, just to eliminate any back folding, to make it flat. That's what we call back tightening. I either use 0.5 or 0.75. Then after that I came back here to just connect this particular point to where I have marked for 1/4 of the bust circumference. You know, your chest line, you mark 1/4 of the bust circumference, then use your cuff ruler to connect it from that part where we went in on 0.5 at the midpoint of the armor. I hope that is clear. So that's how to do that. So the next thing to do will be to mark from right at where we did our back tightening. We want to mark 1/4 of the waist measurement on the waistline at the back, then connect it to that part on the chest line where you did your 1/4 of your bust measurement. So back to the front now. I went in by 0.5 from that part. I first went up by 4 inches, then went in by 0.5. Then do the same thing we did for the back. Connect it that way and connect from that point to your 1/4 of your bust measurement right on that part. And then moving on, the next thing will be for us to get our bust point. Yes, that's because like I told you, the difference between the back length and the front length is 2 inches. I want to use about that because I don't want the dress or the top to look longer. By the time you finish sewing it, if you have been sewing using the same length for front and back, you notice that after sewing, be it a dress or a top, the back will always go lower. There's a way the back used to look like. Yes, so it's not going to be equal. So I want it to be equal, and then that's why I want to make use of that bust dart, and that's the standard I do use, which is 2 inches. So I've gone ahead to draw for my nipple to nipple point, half of it on that part in the middle there. Then this is me adding back the dart intake, 1 inch for the dart on the waist. Initially I wanted to make it dartless, but now I thought to just add a dart so that it will be easy for me to close the bust dart as well as the normal darts on the pattern before transferring it on fabric. So I did use 1 inch for the dart intake, as you can see it. Then I added it back on the waistline. So this is me marking the 2 inches difference between the front and the back length. On that part, I'm going to be closing it on the pattern. We'll get to that later in the video. So that is for that. For the back, it's going to be dartless. And if I want to actually make it to be with that, then I have to add 1 inch, the same thing I did for the front. But I thought to just leave it like that. So this is me trying to close the waist to show you how I'm going to close the normal dart as well as the bust dart. But we'll come back to that. Now let's go to the neckline. I'm going to go up by 1 inch on that part, as you can see. Then the same 3 inches we use for the width, just to confirm that you roll it that way. We went up by 1.5, remember, and from that point I'm going to be going in by 0.5. Yes, we're trying to actually draft the neckline. Now we went in by 0.5, and at that point you still need to blend it nicely so that there won't be any sharp edge, and that is it on that part. And then now it's for us to close, for me to close the normal darts before the bust starts now. Yeah, and then I'll try, and then just trying to see how I'm gonna get the shape. You just want to use whatever preference, anyhow you want the shape to be for you. So you can just, I was trying to figure out how to go about it, to draw out the shape, how wide I want the neck, and how I want the shape to look like. You can always determine that right on your pattern. You can always determine that right on your pattern, how you want it to be like. From that part, I came in by 3 inches. I don't want it to just go sharp like that. Can you see that? Then I was trying to trace it to see how it's gonna look, after which I concluded on something which I'm still gonna tell you soon. So this is me trying to figure out how the Bolero top is gonna look like. But I thought, okay, on the waistline, on the starting point, on the shoulder line, I mark 1.5 from the center point, then use that as a guide. 1.5 on the shoulder line, right? Then from there I connected from the neckline. We extended up from the 1.5 inches up, and then went ahead to connect it that way. So with that, I'm able to get a perfect look of how I wanted to look like. Yes, so like I said earlier, I went in by 1.5 on the shoulder from the center front on the shoulder line. So using that as my guide, meaning it's going to be opening, the opening is just going to be like 3 inches by the time we open out the pattern. So that's how to do it. Already I've closed the normal darts, then I'll go ahead now and cut it out before closing the bust darts. So that's me. I've gone ahead to cut out the pattern. So just see the way I'm doing it. I don't want to do this behind the camera, so that's why I'm trying to cut it so that you can see how I did cut it out. So that way, it all depends on your preference, the way you want the shape to be at the front. You don't have to do it the same way I'm doing it, but then it came out looking so nice and perfect. And then I'll go ahead and cut that part there. Can you see it? On that part, you want to make sure that it's not sharp. You just want to blend it, make it a little bit curve, on that part before cutting it out. Yeah, that way the neck will relax by the time you're sewing it, joining it to the back pattern. So that's the way to go about that, guys. So once we are done, we'll go ahead and transfer this on our pattern, but before then I'm still going to be closing the bust darts. And then we'll do the same thing we did for the front. I went up by 1.5. That's the essence of the 2 inches, the margin that we left already. So 1.5, then go in by 0.5. You want to blend that part nicely, like I said. Blend it nicely, no sharp edge. Go in by 0.5, then roll it from the neckline that way. Yeah, and then you want to just go ahead and connect the straight point that way. And then at the center back as well, you want to go in by 0.5. You don't just want it to go straight. You want to have that a little bit curve at that part. So just by 0.5 on that part, and that is the neckline drawn already. So this has been altered to the kind of neckline we want. This is me trying to blend it nicely so that it doesn't look sharp on that part. So we go ahead and cut out our back pattern. Remember, it is dartless. The back one has no dart. I only had that for the front, and then when you're adding it, you want to make sure you add back the whatever inches you use for your darts. And then yeah, that is it. So the cutting is going to be across like that to where we went in by 0.5, not straight up, then that way. And then cutting the back, I decided to cut it with what's it called now, because of the dart intake. You know, I went in by 0.5 at the center back. This is me just showing you how it's going to look by the time we join it together on both shoulders. So I decided to just cut out the back twice and like double of the back, then join it back with 0.5. Yeah. So this is me transferring it on the fabric. You go ahead and fold your fabric because you're going to be cutting 2 pieces each. After which you go ahead and cut your lining. This part I'm going to quickly explain something. You can see me adding 0.5 for the sewing allowance, and then on the side I'm going to be adding 1.5. I love doing that. And for the down bit, I made it to be like 1 inch, not 0.5. Then I try to connect it. Yeah, I'm gonna be I added extra 1 inch for the to the length of it, just for the sewing of it. Can you see that? Was even 1 inch or 1.5 inch, so depending on you. Yeah, then on the side 1.5, and thereafter I wanted to hold it that before, but I thought to just close it on the pattern. So I'm still going to get to that part. After cutting this, I changed my mind and decided to cut to close the bust dart where you see the lines on the 2 inches bust dart on the pattern. Then we cut the fabric again. By so doing, you already close it on the pattern. There's no point sewing it on the fabric, and everything is just one piece and we appear neat. So that is it, guys. So like I was saying, this is what I did. I decided to just close it right there. I already cut it out and changed my mind. And after doing this, I needed to add already cut out, so this the side is no longer 1.5 sewing allowance at the side. So I had to cut another pieces after this because I changed my mind to just close to that, which is okay. Save me the stress of having to hold it that on the fabric, and the look might not even come out nice like you closing it on the pattern. And this is me already. We have gone ahead to cut it out, iron my stay on the main fabric, and this is the lining. The same thing you did for the lining you want to do for the main fabric, but I didn't iron on stay. But I would advise for the upper bit, the neckline area, if you have the stay, a normal stay, you can as well put it to make it stand nicely. A very the light normal stay, make sure you put it on both lining and the fabric itself. It will really help. So that's what so guys, that is it. Just you can see the way it looks before we join it together. That's the way I'm going to go ahead and join. Firstly, what I did in terms of the joining is to first join the back together on 0.5 because I had to do it that way. And this is it. Join the back together. I joined the shoulders for the main fabrics. I did the same thing for the lining, and after which I will go ahead and then use the lining to turn the normal fashion fabric. Yeah, that's what we call it. Can you see that? But you want to make sure the neckline, like I said, make sure you had a stay to the lining as well, and that will help to give it some firmness. Yes, because I didn't do that on mine, although it stays, but if I had put it, it will still like stand much more better. So this is me trying to show you how I went about to turn it, the neckline towards the front. So I make sure the center back of the lining and the fashion fabric aligns, pin it down, then trace it all the way around towards the center front, that like that. Shoulders aligning, the point of the shoulder where we have the joining, I aligned it, pin it down. Do the same thing for the other side, and I went ahead to just sew it all the way around. The only place I haven't done at this stage is to join the side. The side is going to be the last thing. So after doing this part, I'll go ahead and join it all the way around. That's all the way around. Yeah, from the neckline all the way around to the edge of the top or the bolero. Yes, so we'll get to that soon, guys. Take your time when doing this. Make sure you have your pins with you and pin it down. Pin it, and as you're doing it, you are ironing, which is very important. So that way you go ahead and sew it down. That means you've done the sewing from the front all the way to the other side, to the neckline, and to the other side, back to the front. So I'll come back and show you now, guys. And then to the hem part as well at the back, you want to do that the same thing. You want to turn that as well. Yeah, as you can see, that's the way to do that. And this is me already done. I'm done joining it. Then I'll just turn everything out to the main side or the outer side, yeah, of the bolero top. And I've done that, so it's required that you take patience in doing this and enough ironing. So that is me trying to bring it out. And it's I would advise also that you notch those parts where we have some, the shoulder, the neckline. After turning it, you need to notch them, like you notch it to make it relax. And then I went ahead to pass my thread in the needle to be able to do the the round all the way around the front to the neckline. You just need to do it this way. This is to avoid the lining showing. Yes, we do this a lot. If you're a fashion designer, you know it how to do. You need to know how to do something like this, stitching, or what do we call it? Yeah. So that is the way to go about. Do it all the way around and go on to your ironing table and give it a good press. If you can, add your stay inside. That will also help it to stay in put or stay in place. So I've done that, and this is how it came out, guys. I've done that, and I'm going to take out the remaining thread now. So the only place left is just the sides, and then after which I will add my sleeve. And this is how it's looking, neatly sewn. To achieve that neat finishing, you can always make sure your sewing, whatever your outfit or whatever you're making, comes out looking so neat and perfect. And the way to go about to join the side, for the joining not to show outside, for everything to be in, what we call perfect finishing, that is the way I went about to do it. Open out it like that, join it together, the fashion fabric at the back, at the front. You can see that, make sure it aligns. I open out the seam allowance at the hem for both lining and the fabric, that way. Then make sure it aligns and pin it down. Then I will sew from one side of the main fashion fabric or the main fabric straight ahead on the same sewing allowance. And then when I get to that point where I'm trying to pin down, I will also sew it across to the lining side. I hope you understand. Just a straight stitch, but make sure you open out your seam allowances on the side. And this is how it looking before I did attach the sleeve, guys. And so I went ahead to attach the sleeve. If you have watched this video to this stage, you want to do well to like, comment, subscribe, and share me out, guys. And in our next video, I'm going to be showing you how I was able to cut out this dress. It's a dartless dress, no dart at all. And then I made use of a slash and spread, sorry, to cut the side. Yeah, first cut a normal dress with a kind of an A shape or a flare shape. Then I cut out the side and slash it and spread it.